What?
I can't believe we're doing this.
Oh god! Oh god!
Holy shit! This movie. Okay. Welcome back, Red Spotters. That was the sound of us losing our shit because we saw Cats, and we're talking about Cats today. I'm Alexis Soda, your host, and I'm joined by Kyle Lira, who is the #1 fan of Cats. Kyle, are you doing? Yeah, expect a lot of that, guys. How are you doing today, Kyle?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
What the fuck was that? Ian McKellen cat?
Oh, let me speak as Ian McKellen.
Gus the theater cat. It's insane to me how much of the names I actually remember. Okay, so
what names do you remember?
Well, the Mistopheles, Victoria, Old Deuteronomy. How the fuck do I know these names? McCaverty.
What?
McCaverty, Gus the theater cat.
Gus.
McCaverty?
Yeah.
Really? Okay. Gus the theater cat. Skimble Shakes?
Yeah.
Holy
the theater,
shit.
The railway
The
cat.
railroad, yeah. And the rest I think are just like, what's her name?
Jenny Anydots. That's who Rebel Wilson plays. Jenny Anydots. What do you think about the movie? After it's digested, I guess.
Well, I mean, for the listeners, there was an after dark of this film that we went to go see with some of our friends. I just have to be, as plainly transparent as I can be. This might have been one of my all-time favorite movie experiences, maybe, ever. Yeah, go ahead and laugh, that's the reason why.
No, I respect that. I respect that wholeheartedly.
Which is why I wanted to go see it with you guys, because I kind of anticipated it to be that kind of atmosphere. We had kind of been anticipating this movie ever since that first trailer came out, and we were blown away, I think, for very different reasons. I was just captivated by the nightmarish look of these fucking cats. Every time that trailer would come on, we would just have so much fun. And I kind of expected the reviews to be as they were, which they were. I mean, holy fuck, people were. But I mean, the thing is, though, I think that's a good thing, because I feel the reviews made it more interesting. It made me more excited to go see this movie. It really was that way. And to me, some critics were like, this was boring. I understand if you were bored with it. I wasn't, and I got the feeling that I wanted to get out of this movie. And I think that's the same reason why Peter wanted to go see it. We'll get to Julio later if we even care about it. But that's why we went to go see it in the first place, because it's the end of the year. You want to have a good time. This is the best way to ring out the year. Hold on. This is the best time of the year to have seen this movie. And like I said, we walked in having a feeling that it was going to be a train wreck. And it was, but I think people will come away with different reasons why it was that way. But at the end of the day, we were left with a film that is pretty close to, from what I'm told, the source material was, which you'll get into your history with Cats. But, I was just endlessly captivated, endlessly entertained. Hold on. Fucking dogs. Go on.
My history with cats is uh it's not deep, but I knew of it before I guess you guys did.
Let's put it this way. Of all of us, you're the one that walked in having a pretty good idea what these characters' names are, what they were, and most of the songs. I mean, you were pretty much humming most of these songs.
Yeah, I even knew a couple of sentences here and there. Full disclosure, my history of cats is like I saw the 1998 tape, the taping of the actual Broadway musical, and it was I was like, holy crap! Like this is like this musical is low key horny, but I didn't know what what I didn't know that concept, so that kind of it was kind of abstract to me at the time. Um, I knew the music. The first time I ever knew what Cats was let's wind the clocks a little bit further to watching that tape. Um, there's a little movie called Barney's Great Adventure, and if you know cassettes, they would play the trailers of different things that would be on sale from the company that made the cassettes and all that stuff. So there was a trailer for Cats there, and I was just like, "Holy shit! I just gotta see it." So I rented it at our local video store called Video 2000, and I watched it, and I had a blast. Didn't go back into it. I was just bewildered by what the heck I just saw. It was low key terrifying. It was low key horny, and
¿Qué
everything
pasó?
else.
¿Quieres traer comida o no?
¿Qué?
Que si quieres traer comida o no.
No, no voy a traer comida. Ahorita no. God fucking damn it. So many interruptions. Go ahead, Kyle. Continue.
And I was like, okay, all right. And I knew the music. I would listen to the soundtrack once in a while. Um, but when this movie came on and I saw the trailer and all that stuff, it brought back like a flood of nostalgia that was tucked away somewhere. And I think that I was like, okay, I'm all for it, and I was all for it from the get go, pretty much. And then when we actually sat down in the movie theater, it was just like all the music started flooding back, and I listened to the soundtrack before, and it rejogged my memory. I had no idea my memory, and everything else continued, and I was absolutely bewildered, and I wound up loving the film, warts and all. I love it. And it's so bombastic. The film, the musical, and all that stuff is bombastic. It's just a bunch of cats introducing themselves, and that's the musical, But so is the book, which we'll get to a little bit later. I haven't read the book. I just read the cliff notes of the book. But it plays out exactly like the musical. It's just introducing a bunch of cats, and that's how this thing is pretty much what it is. And I'm glad that I got to like experience like something of this degree with you guys. And it was I think that this movie should be doing better than Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, it never was. Even if this movie was the best thing in the world, it never would have made that much money. Interesting you point out that cassette tape of why are you calling it a cassette tape? A VHS tape of Barney. I've because we've watched that same Barney movie when we were younger. I think that might have been my earliest memory of cats. Yeah. Now that you brought it up, like an image just played in my mind. Like, wait a minute, maybe that's where I remember it from.
I had no idea the concepts of cats. I just saw a bunch of people in weird ass costumes, and I dug it.
How old were you when you saw it?
5.
You're kidding me.
5. I'm not kidding you. I was 5 when I saw it.
Wow. Okay.
Maybe
Well, I mean,
maybe it explains more than I think.
I think it might. I think it might have been, in some ways, the target audience. I think maybe kids might like this more so than the adults. Because I mean the entire
There's a lot of crotches.
not in the movie. No, there's no crotch.
The
no-
flashing of the groin area, I should say. There's a lot of that in the movie.
But they have no groin area though in the movie. The CG cats don't have groins.
It doesn't matter. They're flashing whatever they don't got.
It's interesting. Look, all of the reviews that came out of the film. Oh my God, they made it sound like this was like the ultimate so bad it's so good kind of movie. And I mean, I'll tell you my experience watching the film in a bit right now, but I was just curious beyond curious to see what this was actually going to be, because the way everybody was talking about this movie was it has to be seen to be believed. Like, it'll be bad maybe, but like maybe it won't for you. Either way, it has to be experienced. And I concur because well, I mean, I'll qualify by saying this, that if you're not a fan of musicals, stay away from this movie. If you're not a fan of cats, stay away from this movie. If you're not a fan of bad musicals, stay away from this movie. I wouldn't call this a very good musical. I'm a fan of musicals. Some of the songs are good, but a lot of the songs are like, that sound, that horrifying sound that's made when you claw your nails on a chalkboard.
Oh, come on.
No, literally,
it's not that
the first
bad.
The first two songs were that bad because I literally couldn't understand. Their diction was discernible. I could not understand what they were saying first and foremost. It didn't even sound all that good. I mean,
So the Jellicle songs for Jellicle Cats did not, like, catch you automatically?
No, it kind of
The old
repelled me
Gumby
automatically.
Cat?
No.
The Rum Tum Tugger?
Okay, none of those songs worked at all for me, but the first half of the movie didn't really work. Look, to really get a sense of my experience watching this movie, try and imagine me sitting in a movie theater, just being like flat out bewildered and confused at what was going on, up until we get to the whole Jenny number with Rebel Wilson. But that's the number where it kind of kicks into high gear. Because at that whole sequence is when you'll know whether or not you're on board for the crazy hallucinogenic ride that this movie is or not. Because holy shit,
dude! Like, okay.
By the way, I guess spoilers. I don't give a shit. We're just gonna talk about the movie.
It's just there's not really much spoilers. It's just cats introducing themselves. I mean, come on, let's be honest. I think that this movie should be experienced like how some people watch The Wizard of Oz and play Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd and listen to that entire album and then play it with hallucinogenic properties. I think that this movie should be experienced exactly like that in the best way possible.
Like I mentioned at the one of the critics screenings for the film, the Universal people handed out cat ears to the critics, and then also they were boozing them up, like endless martinis. I feel that's the best way to see this movie. I wish I would have been given that.
It's a nice night at the. Well, there are restaurant theaters.
Yeah, the Alamo Drafthouse
in San Diego and all that stuff. So. Maybe one of these days, this month, before it gets pulled from theaters.
Well, we should mention just in general, movie theaters these days have a lot of, added pluses. Most movie theaters that I've been to actually do serve alcohol. It just so happens that our community doesn't. And I wouldn't expect it for another 10 years because, of course, our community is so behind on the times. But yeah, that sequence is when things just explode because at the same time you have the already. First of all, I want to say the movie opens up like a horror movie. I don't know what it was, but like not the face of the cat in the clouds, but with the and then like all these fucking
like
cats like
the synth playing for the
yeah
overture.
I was kind of like, wait, what the fuck is happening?
You know
Oh
what?
God.
God bless Andrew Lloyd Webber. This man is a genius, I think.
I'll say this. This creation of cats is something that can't be touched. Holy shit. And then with the whole Jenny
Annie
the Rebel Wilson, she has the whole Rebel Wilson shit going on. She's falling. She's introducing herself, and then of course, throughout the course of this number, we have
she's using her tail as a microphone, and kind of suggestively straddling it as well.
Yeah, there will be many times to sum up what my face was watching this movie, quote unquote. Either I had a face of bewilderment, or I just had the biggest smile on my face because what the stuff that was happening on the screen, there were times where I was trying my damnedest to hold in a laugh. And we should note that our whole group, minus Julio, our whole group
was laughing
and cackling. We were cackling throughout the whole time.
I mean, I think more movies like this need to exist.
I agree.
To be honest, because especially coming out of Rise of Skywalker,
where it's like the definition of safe. This is like the antithesis of being safe.
We needed a movie like this.
Yes.
It's a good palate cleanser from that movie. And I think, which is like spoilers, I guess, from my reaction when I get to it on the Fantasy Fair. But like, it's such a good palate cleanser from that film that I needed something like this. And it was kind of therapeutic. And I loved it. We were in good company, minus one, who did not fucking get it. But
well, he got it. He just didn't expect it, though. That's the problem. It's so right you mentioned that, because part of the reasons why we wanted to see this at the end of the year, especially after Star Wars, was we needed something to bring us actual joy into our lives, you know? And I think that's kind of what sums up what this experience and what this movie was, is just absolute joy of watching something so fucking crazy that doesn't always work. We should mention, like, half of the people who sing can't really sing. For me, anyway, the first half of the songs I think were downright terrible. They're like the antithesis of an earworm, like I told you, like nails on a fucking chalkboard bad. But there's this wonderful touch of insanity that is contagious, not just to the cast, but to the audience.
Yeah. First of all, I could tell that the cast is having the time of their lives. I mean, they pretty much got to perform in PJs on a set. They filmed that and just like slapped an Instagram filter on them and delivered it to cinemas worldwide. And I think that is I think there's a perfect art to that. You could tell that, number one, Taylor was going for it during her sequence.
A lot of people were going for it during their sequences.
Francesca Hayward, I think that's her name. Victoria. Welcome to Hollywood, baby.
Who's like the cat that gets thrown in the alley, and she's kind of like our point person.
Yeah.
Throughout this whole craziness,
you kind of witness. She's kind of like Alice from Alice in Wonderland. That's what the kind of character you're supposed to like take, from that point of view, because Alice is one of us. She's she's kind of down to earth, and she's just bewildered by everything for the first time. And that's what Victoria is, and she's witnessing this utter chaos that is the Jellicle world throughout the entire experience. And that's how she is in the musical as well. She is kind of like your eyes in Word and all that. So she kind of is like the face of Cats, I guess. And you're being like a bunch of these characters are introducing themselves to her, and in many regards to us. So I like that little, I guess you could quote put in quotations, story element with Cats that puts it to that kind of edge. Yeah. Is there anyone in the cast that just didn't do it for you?
It's hard to say because the performances are technically speaking good, but there is a tendency where, and I don't know if it was by design or it was just an accident, where some of the actors are hamming it up more than others, because you have let's say two extremes, right? You have Ian McKellen, who knows exactly what movie he is in, and oh my god, is he really just like, he knows he's in a fucking Cats movie. But then on the flip side, you have Jennifer Hudson, who's literally like
Missing Anne Hathawaying it up, with memories.
Like she's doing an Oscar performance number, and it's just like they clash a little bit because. But let's go back to Memory. Here's a perfect example. For the fun of it, I went back and I saw Cats. There's a cam version online. So I was like half paying attention to it just to relive certain moments. When
I wouldn't admit that in a podcast, but okay.
People do it. Admit what? That I saw Cats again?
No, on watching a cam version of.
Oh, okay. Something. Well, since we're dwelling on it, it was actually delivered to me by Tom Hooper. He wanted to give a positive review. So
was it still the for your consideration version of the?
Unfortunately, yeah, but he had to like scratch that out with pen.
A half-ass like whiteout job.
Of course, Kyle's mentioned the fact that Universal has pulled this from awards consideration, which is a different thing altogether. I'll get into later on. But anyway, the point of it is that I was watching that whole sequence of Memory. It's a beautiful sequence because it's a powerful song, and of course you have Hudson, one of the most gifted singers of our time, performing that number. But it's completely undercut. Because as soon as like she finishes the big part of the song, it cuts to fucking Judi Dench cat. And at that moment, I was like in tears laughing.
Courage. Welcome to my world. Shit. That's what's... usually it's happening the other way. But any... you turned to Judi Dench. Is it just me, or was Judi Dench giving me... Wait, you haven't seen Wizard of Oz, have you? Okay, wow, holy crap. Peter, get on that to the table. There's is it just me, or, I think that Judi Dench was giving serious Cowardly Lion vibes with the way that she was, like, dressed and her movements and all that stuff, and I just found it funny. Dame Judi Dench, like... You think that she's gonna give some sort of like Aristotelian levity in this movie, but she was like one of the most highest points of insanity, I guess, just for like the clout that Dame Judi Dench has in the movie. Um, I think that, yeah. But here's the thing, though. That's the musical in itself. Because you have that, kind of like, oh, we're going for the Tony thing with the song Memory, and every actress who has played Grisabella has, takes the role like this. Like, it is high tier dramatic theater, and versus everybody else knows that they're in Cats. So it's kind of for form, I guess, when you're going into the movie, because you're looking at it and everybody takes the role of Grisabella seriously, but then versus, like, you have the Rum Tum Tugger, and he's whoever's playing that is just being like all suave and horny and all that stuff, and then everything else just follows suit. And I like the fact that it kind of did that. It kind of like it mirrored, like, I think that this is the best way you could have adapted Cats. I think the musical. I think that because of the, like, its sheer nature of it all, I think that it lent itself to that. And I think that I was wowed, to say the least, with how they were able to, like, pull it off in that state, I guess, because everybody's in mocap. And you're just viewing this thing, and it's absolutely absurd, but you can't stop watching. It's just like something glues to you. It's kind of like a cat with a laser pointer. It's just like you're constantly fixated on it. You don't know why. And this is with the musical as well. You don't know why you're drawn to this thing, but nevertheless, you are fucking, enthralled with it. And I haven't gotten this movie out of my head since we stepped out of the movie theater. I just can't, like, I watched the 1998 filmed version of the production again. I listened to both versions of the soundtrack, both from the Broadway production and from the movie, and I'm kind of low key obsessed with it right now, and I think it's great. I think that this is truly what you could put this on the Blu-ray box. It is what going to the theaters is kind of about. You go in, everybody's having a good time. You're going in, that it's a movie, and you're enjoying all the nooks and crannies of a film and just enjoying it. And I think that that's kind of the magic of this film, that it continues doing that. And I wish that more people, I think a lot of people were turned off by the CG of the movie, and
yeah, but I mean, people were horrified by it.
But I think that everybody needs to give this film a chance, because it is truly a spectacle, whether we like it.
I wish more people would give weird stuff like this a chance. I agree with you. But I wouldn't say this movie's for everyone. That's just the reality of what this is. It's that not most audiences will probably look at this movie, and I think the reaction that we saw from Julio would be that's kind of the mainstream reaction, is that even the critics who love to celebrate, unique creations of art that's, of a creator's vision, they trashed this film. I was just looking at a review that was titled "Abandon Hope, All Ye Who Enter Here." They hated this movie. Some of them had fun with it.
Do you think this movie is competently made? Okay, your laugh answers my question. Thank you. That was wonderful. He's still
Look.
thinking, guys. He took off his glasses. That's how like dumbstruck he is, because the glasses are officially off.
If the reaction that you and I got from Cats is what Tom Hooper was going for, then yes, but I don't know. I got the impression
He was trying to
Tom
go
Hooper-
Les Mis again.
yes, that Tom Hooper was trying to take this seriously, and if that's what he was going for, this is a disaster. If that's really what he was going to go for. And in some places there are serious songs, like you have Memories, and you also have the
Beautiful Ghosts.
yes, which is a beautiful song by Taylor Swift.
The Journey
It's
to
so
the
interesting.
the heavy side layer. You know, that's the moment of happiness.
There are moments that clash with each other, and then of course it's like when you say it's a competently made, I'll be honest, part of the reason why we just said it's the CG. I have to believe, I know that this movie cost like just about $100 million to make. I don't think it's even made $20 million worldwide at this point. I have to imagine that there was a better way to make these cats look, because
Let's be honest. There was only two ways that this musical was gonna go. Either have them dress in leotards like they are in the stage production, or do it CG.
let's talk about the CG.
Okay.
Does it always work for you? Because there are moments that and this adds to the nature of the insanity. There are moments where the visual effects. I'm laughing because the visual effects. I mean, I don't know. But to call them visual effects, I think it maybe is too good. The reality is this: there are moments where you can see through the visual effects, as well. How Peter mentioned is the human faces that are CGI'd onto the cats don't always move, and it makes it look disturbing. There was this moment in Mr. Mistopheles' hands. Yes, by the way, all of the cats have human hands, but it looked as if though there wasn't any CG on those hands, and there were the actors' hands that were coming through. That's why I was kind of a little bit confused.
Also, during the dancing sequences, while excellently choreographed, you could see that they're kind of floating.
I'll get back to the choreography, but you're right about that. And nightmarish inducing visuals, like the mice and the cockroaches.
Yeah, and they're like children's faces or something like that.
Yeah, they just look terrible. And so, like, unless that was the intent of what the movie was going for, but I mean, clearly it wasn't, because as we speak, the director is still working on the visual effects for Universal to resubmit to the fucking distributors.
They're like,
The exhibitors.
I think it was already released.
Oh my god.
Okay.
I don't know, man.
I pulled up.
To me, this is the definition of a so bad it's good kind of movie. That's where I come at it.
I agree. But, okay. This is the good old Wikipedia. Want me to read what it says? Cats uses extensive visual effects throughout to convert the live-action actors to computer-animated cats. Companies like ILM and Technicolor SA, subsidiaries, Milfilm, and MPC to aid this. The motion capture suits. Get this. The visual effects for Cats was performed at MPC Vancouver, which worked on redoing the visual effects for, get this, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Huh.
Does that make more sense?
Well, I mean, if we're gonna talk about yeah, I guess it does make more sense. But we also, on that same plane, I told you that this movie had advanced from the preliminary list of films that were being considered for Best Visual Effects at the Academy Awards, ahead of Godzilla King of the Monsters. What is wrong with you fucking people? I'm sorry, but this is why people hate you. Like, do your fucking job right. You think you put forward a film with unfinished visual effects that look horrible ahead of Godzilla King of the Monsters, which is, I think, one of the best examples of what visual effects can make your movie look like.
You sound like fucking Seinfeld. What is up with visual effects?
What's up with that? I mean, seriously. I'm not even trying to go for an impression here. I'm just outraged. I'm disgusted. This is stupid. They're fucking stupid. Seriously. God damn it. Fuck them. Honestly, fuck them. They need to fucking do... Anyway...
But holy crap though. And apparently they had a cat behavioral specialist.
Yeah, look, at some point the visual effects just add to the madness of what's happening,
Honestly, it is a gorgeous example of what a night at the cinema can be.
Yeah, like Peter said, I would come back and watch a midnight screening of this.
Yeah, much like,
hell, I'd come back and watch a sing-along version of this.
Much in the vein of what we got with the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Exactly. Oh my God, exactly. I would come back and watch that. That would be a cinematic experience, really and truly. What was it? So, okay, you were saying?
Oh, I wasn't saying anything.
I know.
You lost your thought.
I lost my train of thought, but I guess I could go ask Skimbleshanks, right? Because he's the conductor. No, this movie made me insane. I'm sorry. I think at a certain point I was just like, holy shit, just go for it. Our experience. Holy fuck! There were moments where if you weren't, you were uncontrollably laughing, Kyle, to the point where I think the whole row was shaking. And then next to me, Peter, when Skimbleshanks was about to do his big tap dance, Peter was like, "Go for it, go for it." And it's just weirdness, every single time McCavity disappears or kidnaps a cat. Laughs. Just laugh. Peter, we had friends of ours, Julio and Gracie, and then Peter, who was next to them and everything. And holy shit. But I appreciate that every single time McCavity kidnap a cat, it got a laugh every single time, not just because of just how unclear it was that I guess magic exists and he has magical powers, but just in the way that had happened sometimes. There was even a moment where he was disappearing, McCavity, and then it got to the next fucking number. It's so weird too, because things that are beyond
all movies need a McCavity edit.
It was inexplicable what happened, and then it just went on to the next. It was weird. The transition from fucking Gus's number to Gus being kidnapped to then all of a fucking sudden, here comes Skimbleshanks.
Tap dancing his way onto the screen.
That was a good song though. That was actually a lot of fun.
What were your favorite musical numbers?
I mean that Skimbleshanks song came at the point where it was you know what?
You're too far in.
Fuck it. Let's just. I think the second half had better songs. I did like Skimbleshanks. I did like the Taylor Swift song. Not McCavity. McCavity was good. But I liked the one that Beautiful she wrote Ghosts. Better that was performed by Francesca. Beautiful Ghosts. Maybe it's just I know, I guess, Taylor's style. but like before the song even finished, I asked you, is this the song she
I
wrote?
was like, yeah, yeah,
It
that is.
it sounds very Taylor,
Uh,
but it fits in with the songs.
but holy crap! Like I could honestly see Taylor Swift like doing the voice of a Disney villain
She
because
was good. She
her
was good.
version of McCavity is holy
Yeah.
shit. That was great.
She was good. You know who else was also, and this is also weird. Fucking Rum Tum Tugger. Jason Derulo was actually
Oh
good in this.
yeah, like I like how his is more like a scat.
It's more R&B.
Yeah,
Which I don't know if that's racist, but
in the original musical, it's more like hard rock.
oh, okay.
Yeah, when he it's like Lionel Richie, throw in some Motley in there, it's like a weird concoction of a song that I just dig. A little bit of David Bowie in there a little bit because of its like weird template that it follows. It's just a wonderful song. And the Rum Tum Tugger is just like, he is so like androgynous with his sexuality that it's just amazing.
No, that's the point where it just became like, oh my god, like the people, like yeah, or like whatever.
Yeah.
It was like milk. What is happening?
All the actors had to lap up milk, and that's where I applaud Tom Hooper.
Dude, Ian McKellen though.
Ian McKellen, when he was backstage just lapping up the dish.
Every part of it, like every part of like when they were walking into the theater area, he was like, meow. And then there was times, like every single time, and we should have had a drinking game for this, honestly. But every single time somebody went like people were fucking laughing. But there would be random moments, right? Like a little bit inconsistent because like the way that these cats, they're kind of like humanoid cats where it's completely random when they walk on all fours and then when they walk like humans.
Like Jennifer Hudson in one shot with like crawling on all fours. Or like there was a moment where you had James Corden and he licked his paw, quote unquote paw, and he rubbed his ear and it's like, and then just like stroked his ear. And it's amazing. It's amazing. I digged every bit of this. Like all the acting inflections, the choices that these actors made is just gut punchingly amazing. You know?
Mr. Mistopheles was actually a surprisingly good number.
You know, oh well, Mr. Mistopheles. It's a good song. It's a really good.
Which is also, it's hysterical because it builds to him rescuing Deuteronomy, Judi Dench cat, and then the minute that happens, he has it fucking goes full Harry Potter, and like he fucking. There's all this magic.
He's like floating around the entire theater, and he's just like, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Speaking of Judi Dench, holy fuck. Her entrance in the fog in the shadow.
Christ, I missed the Cold War.
Is that what you were thinking?
What?
Well, okay. What was going through your mind when you saw Judi Dench make her entrance into the movie?
I wanted to fucking bow to the queen.
You were laughing though.
I was laughing because I was like, holy shit. One of the most dignified actresses working in the business. And like, she's in Cats.
No, some of the most hilarious moments in the movie are just like these weird shots of Judi Dench. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but when Ian McKellen was doing his number, she was giving him a look. I don't know if it was
very flirtatious.
I don't know if there was an implication because I know at some point they mentioned her progeny, her children, I guess, that she may have had them with Gus. I don't know.
You know, it's kind of funny because there's kind of a hint at that. but what made it more overtly sexual is that Old Deuteronomy in the musical is played by a man.
Oh wait, Judi Dench came out and said that Old Deuteronomy is a trans character? Is that happened, right?
I guess so. I
What?
guess so. Yeah, because Old Deuteronomy in the musical is played by a man, an older man, and
That's not how. But that's not the way the movie approached it. That's not the way the movie approached it. And it's like, oh come on, to say, like, to me that's just as bad as saying like, oh there's a
openly gay character in Star Wars.
yeah. But then
All,
oh, you know what was really unsettling?
what?
Naked McCavity? What the fuck?
Oh yeah, and you saw the six pack? Like, holy shit.
Because like he's wearing clothes, but then he's not. And that's another weird thing is half of them don't wear clothes.
They're just naked, and then
And
like
it's-
Jenny Any Dots, like her fur could double as like a mini skirt as well, I guess.
what was that? I think maybe the weirdest part was Judi Dench breaking the fourth wall at the end.
Oh, and she's like staring at your soul pretty much, and dissing dogs, which, by the way, I was hoping, as much as you and Peter, we're gonna see what dogs look like in this universe.
I really wish we would have gotten a chance to see that. But I think maybe it was all the more fitting that the movie closed with this kind of this diatribe of anti-dog propaganda, which I guess really it does come out of nowhere. But I mean, at this point, if you've stuck around with most of the movie, you kind of just okay.
Accept it. It's right. But he's what Old Deuteronomy is saying at the end of the whole thing is like, you have to be, you have to be good spirited. You have to be, accepting of others and all that stuff. Pretty much the entire bit of Grisabella's arc, I guess, in the whole thing. She's, or he is saying, be good spirited, accept others and lift yourselves, up, and lift ourselves up to the Lord, kind of thing. And that's what that's the whole thing is, and then they're saying, but at least we're not dogs.
Yeah, there's a bit of commentary there. There is, and I've noticed a lot of reviews talk about this. So I guess the insinuation of being a Jellicle cat means you're in a cult?
Yeah.
You just say it so like
Yeah.
Okay. But what does it mean to be a Jellicle cat?
What does it mean indeed? Weren't you listening to the addressing of cats?
No, I was laughing at it.
Okay.
I didn't listen to what they were
I pretty much
saying.
said in order to be a Jellicle cat, you have to be of good heart, accepting, and everything like that. And in the musical, it kind of goes a little bit deeper, and kind of delves into like, oh, there are other groups of cats as well.
Well, we didn't see any other groups of cats in the movie, so that may have been a little bit harder to distinguish between what's Jellicle and what's not. On top of, if you don't know what's going on, you probably, because I know some of our friends didn't hear the word Jellicle. They heard other thing, like people heard angelical or evangelical, Angelica. So I think that also just, to me anyway, gives a little bit of credence to the fact that a lot of the first opening songs, either you're just completely distracted by all of the crazy stuff happening that you just can't understand, or you just can't understand what they're singing. I know Peter was lost, like, and I was kind of with Peter. I mean, I kind of got the gist of what they were going for with Hudson, but Peter was like saying, "So what was her story?" That's not a good thing if you can't understand what's happening because of the songs. And I think Les Mis did a pretty excellent job of, like, at the very least, making you clear about what's happening.
And there was a shit ton of exposition in Les Mis through the songs.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I Dreamed a Dream. She met a...
Which is basically recreated in this movie, but with Jennifer Hudson.
She met a guy, and they were great. They were romantic and everything like that. And then he pretty much, like, clocked in and clocked out when it came to, like, impregnating her and left her with the child and all that stuff. And how she hopes that one day he'll come back to her. But it's just a life that she dreamed up, and, like, the ideal life of having a husband, you know, like a child, and just, like, that idea. Memory is kind of like that as well. It is like, you know, oh, I used to be somebody. I used to be with this group of people, but they turned me down because I made one bad choice in life. And for those who don't know what bad choice she made, or are confused, like Peter and everybody else, the bad choice that she made is that she was once one of McCavity's groupies, kind of like what Taylor Swift is in the thing, and she was one of the groupies, and then she saw, like, the dark deeds that he was doing to try to get to the heavy side layer and cheat his way to the top, that she was like, oh no, I can't do that anymore, I can't be a part of this. And she tried she tried being clemented, but the other Jellicles were like, fuck no, you went with McCavity, kind of and like, get away kind of thing. But and that's what she longs. She longs for belonging. She longs for, it's there. And I find that that's, like, the most, like, development that you're gonna get from this musical is Grisabella's story. And that's the most storytelling that you're gonna get from this. But that's pretty much Grisabella's backstory. She was a glamour cat because she was fabulous. She was glorious. Everybody wanted to be her. She was kind of like the Beyonce of the society, until she wrote. Let's just say, if Beyonce, she's a huge bit in the liberal world. If she tangled in with Trump somehow and then came back, nobody would look at her the same way again and kind of dismiss her all the time, and she wouldn't be.
Are you calling Grisabella Kellyanne Conway?
You know what? Yeah. Kinda.
Wow.
Kinda, except more redemptive.
Well, yeah, because Conway is still with him.
Kinda, yeah. Just tangle in with the bad guy and then come back and just, like, say, oh no, like, gain a conscience, I guess, and then come back, and then they accepted her, and because of her deservance, I guess, she got chosen. She got chosen for the Jellicle choice. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. I got it from watching it, but not so much listening to it. If that makes any sense at all. One of the hilarious things about this is, Um, and I think Peter mentioned this after we turned the camera off for the After Dark, but this is basically a cat's version of American Idol.
Yeah, everybody's like trying out and has a sob story or a glamorous story, and they're trying to compete for to rise to the top, which is the Jellicle layer, which is like a play on like how cats have 9 lives.
I don't know, like to me, kind of like bringing it back full circle here. This is what I hoped Inhumans would be, like a so bad it's good. Whereas Inhumans is the worst kind of it's so bad it's bad. Inhumans was it's so bad it's boring and dull and terrible.
Were you ever bored watching Cats?
Once, just once, in the sense that okay, we can wrap up this musical number. It's going on way too long.
Okay.
Which does happen, but other than that, no. I mean, like I said, I was endlessly captivated. I was endlessly entertained. This is my favorite kind of, like, to me, this fits perfectly with The Room and Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Especially the Rocky Horror Picture Show, because that's also another musical.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, like we saw, and I mean, I think some of our audience was laughing, but it's the Valley. You can't really, I guess, ask for too much. At least we were having a good time, our group anyway. But we saw clips on Twitter of people were sharing recordings of the theater experience of Cats, and people were literally like standing up and singing along with the fucking numbers.
A good time, yeah.
Yeah, that's how this movie should be experienced.
Yeah,
with booze and fun and just like
this kind of experience like lends itself for a rowdy audience, strangely enough. And I think that's what our audience was neglecting, is just like we needed to be rowdy, and I think that this kind of movie lends itself to be that way. And I think that's part of the fun, is that because not often is there a movie where you could be rowdy and it could be okay, So I think that I would definitely, like, I think 10 years down the line we're gonna get this kind of experience with Cats. I think it's gonna rise to the ranks like how the Rocky Horror Picture Show has gotten. I think there is gonna be a huge cult following with this movie, and I think it's gonna do well. And I think over 10 years it's definitely gonna make its money back, guaranteed.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Okay, well, Kyle, thank you so much for being part of this show on this crazy Cats review. I want to thank the audience for listening to us do cat calls and meows and hisses and all that stuff. And we're truly genuine when we say this is one of the craziest films that we've ever seen, and it's a once in a lifetime kind of film movie going experience. It's not a good movie. It's honestly kind of a really bad movie, but it's so bad it's so good. So I encourage all of you to go out and go see Cats. Never did I think I would ever say that. So without any further ado, thank you all so much for listening. You can catch our podcasts every single Sunday and Thursday. They drop on anywhere you listen to podcasts. Stay tuned for endless reviews of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker with Peter Martinez and David Francisco, and a very special end-of-the-year show to close out 2019. Thank you all so much, and stay under the spotlight, and bye-bye.